What just happened?
5, 4, 3, 2, go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Happening Wednesdays.
What's happening?
On Whatever You Want Music Radio, this is Most. And today, we have a special guest that needs no introduction. It's the original rap criminal, KSolo. KSolo, what's up, brother?
What up? What's happening Wednesdays?
Appreciate you taking the time out, brother. You know, I know things are busy, and it's also tough down there, man. Florida is the new epicenter for the coronavirus. How y'all holding up down there? I hope everybody's staying safe.
Yes. Thank you so much. We all have our masks on, and we're taking our time, and hopefully everybody does their social distancing scenario, and we get this thing wrapped up.
No doubt. Okay, there's always a chance that somebody won't know who you are. So if you would, man, take this opportunity, man, introduce yourself. Let the people who don't know, who may be unaware, let the hip-hop layman know who KSolo is, where you from.
I'm originally from Queens, New York, Ozone, South Side, and then I moved to Long Island when I was a kid. My father was raised in Harlem. My mother was born in Brooklyn. I came in the industry about 1990. A lot of you guys was in diapers. I came in with EPMD outside my parish, and then I circled back and we brought Redman. Redman was my DJ when I first came out. I also discovered Sam Snead, the producer that produced a lot of stuff for Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. I was out there in the 1993 also with Dre, and then we ran into shows, everybody. It was a great scenario, and especially for street guys.
That's interesting, bro. So tell me, how was it working with Death Row? Even before that, and the time that you worked with EPMD, how was that?
Learned a lot. Just building. My biggest thing in this rap game now is just I've been gone for a minute because I've been rebuilding another scenario. Spartan Academy will be coming real soon, and the Kevlar Kids. It's a great scenario for us as far as record owners to have their hands on that. We're gonna bring Sam Steve back. Redman and Method Man are on my new album. It's called They'll Be Hell to Pay. It was always called that. Just everything's a seasonal thing with me. I don't just jump in the hoop and try to. If it's not my turn, I just wait it out. So it's my turn.
That's understood. So let me ask you this: what's your thought about where the game is now and the direction it's taken?
Most of the guys my age group are starting to come back with albums like LL Cool J, DMX. Reggie and Meth, they're still active, and it's a space for us. We started this anyway, so the mumble rappers have their little end. I just feel that the music industry has to categorize everything in its proper context, because mumble rap is not hip hop. It's just not. It's not the same elements. They don't have the same. Nothing wrong with them making a living, and if it works, great. But it's kind of a black eye in the game to call that what we do, because it's not.
I was going to say that about the industry, and certainly your point is valid about its need to put things in its proper place. Whatever You Want Music Radio listening audience is about that 25 and up. So this is the hip hop generation. They're familiar, with the KSolos, the Redman, the Method Man, the Hit Squad, etc. Let me ask you this question. What was the first record deal you had? What was the label you were signed to?
Oh, I got my first deal with Atlantic Records. I think it was Street Beat Records. With Sylvia Rome, under Sylvia Rome.
I'm familiar with the name Sylvia Rome at Atlantic. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, I was a kid, growing up. This is what I was really happy that I was able to appease the industry and get in, right? But then when I got in, I started seeing the guys like, Daryl Musgrove, guys that I respected, guys with, blood, sweat, and tears in this industry, Tukey and Wayman Myrie, guys that really put blood, sweat, and tears. Nobody really owned anything. So I took a hiatus, got my kids in school. They went to school and then started learning how we can own it. Because it's, I gave 2 albums to the industry that I don't own. And, I don't mind doing that to learn what I learned. But now, we'll have a catalog that's worth having a conversation about, and we own it. It doesn't do us any justice when our community doesn't have an economy. And then for us to be on someone else's record label. Okay, so let's get into that. You sign a contract, you get money, and then you pay your bill back, but you don't own anything. It's like a double standard. It's like, and when I figured that out, I didn't have the urge to go back in that way. I didn't, because you don't own nothing. And then, so if my mother said that I needed the money to do another album, say, you know what, let me drop the greatest, I can't do it. I don't own it. So I changed some of my name. You know, they still know me as KSolo, but I added the Wolfgang Word of Mouth Mania to it. You know, there's a couple of other imposters saying that they're KSolo too, which there was no KSolo when I was out. Now there's all these people that are saying they're KSolo. So, you know, I understand. But yeah, Wolfgang Word of Mouth Mania, KSolo, you know, that's me. You can find me that KSolo, Wolfgang _Wolfgang. Like it's just mind-boggling how nobody had the tenacity in our community to own and actually have stake in it. Like, you know, like, well, we own this. They don't. You know, it's like they were on a plantation, just in a different way. So I don't want to contribute on that in that form in that way. So now I'm the CEO of the scenarios, and now we can come back in with a lot more firepower, and we have more abilities. Because remember this too. This is what I honestly believe. White culture don't understand black music, so they don't understand it. What they do is hire other black people to do it, but they still don't own anything. That's the drawback too, is that when they make the money off of us, they don't give it back. They don't do Nighter Negro Fund. They don't do anything. They don't give it back. So it's like, not saying all of them, because I met some great European people that do throw back, but I'm saying like about 75% of them don't. You know, like Afro-Americans eat Chinese food, right? And if you were to count up in Cali, up in 52 states, all over the world, how much support the black people do other causes, you would think the black community would be in a way better position if people would give back and say, you know, well, we made it on their backs. Let's donate some money to the Native Negro College Fund or something. They don't. That's right. And it's where we got to be like, okay, so we got to be more savvy in our business, you know, and then getting into that is like you can have enough money for your children and your parents, and your wife if you don't have enough for your grandparents or your mom. But you own a corporation. You're selling something, 100% of something that you created, and you don't own it. It's just, it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, we got to be savvy of that, and we also got to spend with our people. You know, like we have to spend with our people so we can have an economy. There's nothing stopping us from going back to Ghana or Africa and creating a landscape where we can use this as our foreground in business, but you'll never be able to get across the water if you don't have your business in order and get your money right.
True. This is why the game is what it is today. You know, when you talk about this miscategorization of music, which is correct, but I always talk about the fact that, you know, the lawyers and accountants took over and the artists, the creative people are no longer involved or were no longer involved.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Muhammad Ali, too. And when I seen, like, Ali has an observatory in Kentucky, I'm like, letting his kids get a check for it. It's the same thing. It's like, these are people that were like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then when you look at the legacy, not that I don't honor the stuff that he did in and outside the ring, I see the holes of where it could have been a little better and a little bit of tighter. You know, I just want to be a better all-around, you know, thought process for that, and then going in and then leaving a legacy that could be remembered. And then when they check me like I'm checking him, there's no shadows. There's not that many shadows anyway. There's going to be shadows. Yeah, there won't be that many because, you know, what we leave behind is something for the next generation. So, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, Layla boxed and May didn't, but I still feel May being the oldest and Ali Jr., they should have been able to, you know, work at that observatory. That's their father's work. But because Muhammad Ali had 10 white businessmen, influential Kentucky men behind him, he didn't have the savvy to, he didn't foresee that.
But, you know, this is what people need to hear because a lot of people believe they understand the industry or the game and they don't really know.
Yeah, so what I try to do with what I'm doing is just spread that so people know, because it's a bad eye in Black Americans when if you see somebody in the street looting, doing Black Lives Matter, and they're tearing the John Brown statue down, or Cassius Marcel, you look at them and you if you knew history, you look at them like crazy, like, you know, they were Black Lives Matter before there was a Black Lives Matter. In fact, these guys put their life on the line for Black people. That's why when we get in position, I say to Black people, don't make the mistakes when you get in position, because there's so many that came before us that died for us to have this opportunity. And if you don't know history, you don't even know it exists. It's like people don't know these stories even exist because they don't read. They don't research anything. They just trying to go off the fly. And in life, you can't go off the fly. You have to know what history did so you could either fix it or make it better.
Yeah, unfortunately, the value of history isn't really understood. For those listening who may not know, I mean, they're not listening to no fly-by-night person, you know, not only in reference to history, but even the industry. I mean, you know, you've had some hits, man. You had Your Mom's in My Business at number 2, you know, on the charts. You had Spellbound that hit number 7 on the charts. You know, The Fugitive hit 24. I thought it should have been higher than that.
Right. But you know what? When I see like even like with me and DMX, when I see me and DMX, and I love Earl, we have a different relationship. It's like we go back and forth to challenge each other to be great. Right. DMX never had a record that debuted in the top 10, but his albums moved the value for us to have the conversation. And I did have those in the top 10, but like I'm just saying, I want to be with him like Ali was the Frazier, just to push the culture. I don't have nothing against him. You know, kind of, I love that he pushes me like I push him. And I'll leave it there. But yeah, again, you know, we got history. As people, we got to know how we can use each other to make more money and more history. These are all these things that we have to use in our canon to pull ourselves up from our bootstraps. You know, when Martin Luther King said he was going to go for the Poor People's Campaign, and said he was coming for the check, he dictated what he was doing, and they stopped him 3 weeks before he got there. So knowing history and how it works, I don't forecast the moves as much. Yeah. But I let the people, even on the other side of my gender, know that I mean no harm in my competition and the surge for competition. It's just I'm trying to push everybody. And if I do that to you, that's great, because you definitely do that to me. We can create these scenarios in our game to push us, but it shouldn't get to the point where it got with cannabis and LL, where you know, we had to go, you know, pick cannabis back up and say, yo, you still made millions of people happy, let's go. Sometimes it has a reverse effect on it. Like when I would say, I would say, well, here's the youngest guy you did this to, but you should have did this to Jay-Z. It would have been more interesting. I'm just saying, it would have been more interesting than to do it to him who was with us, and you read him wrong. You know, you read him wrong, and then you would have, if you did this to Jay-Z, then, hey, who knows? Maybe Beyonce, right? We don't know, but it would have just been more interesting if you did it with Jay-Z. Then cannabis wasn't even gold when you did it.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right about that. So check this out. We got to get into this first joint. I want you to introduce the first song that we're going to play. Where you taking us back to, man? What you got for us?
Okay, the first one is KSolo, Spellbound.
That's right. You're listening to it here on What's Happening Wednesdays on Whatever You Want Music Radio. Let's go.
I'm spellbound. I'm spellbound. I'm spellbound. Like this. Hey, what I'm about to say may hit a lot of people in a real strange way. Some said I should have spelled this a long time ago, but I stayed amateur while others turned pro. P-R-O, now I'ma throw letters in my word so I can make a spellbound flow. Read it slow. See how it S-O-U-N-D sounds? K-S-O-L-O, spellbound. I'm spellbound. First I like to say I'm the K-E-V-I-M. My last name is M-A-D-I-S-O-N. But when the R-A-P, they call me K-S-O-L-O. My rhymes are heavy like a rock, so I'ma throw 'em like a bolo. Rhymes are death, beats are hitting, it's working. The alphabet's in the coffee pot to keep the spelling perking. I-S-P-E-L-L, very W-E-L-L. I only spell so all can T-E-L-L. Rhymes I got, alright, well S-E-L-L. For rappers who don't believe me, go to H-E-L-L. Rhymes I write are made by M-E. Turn the M around and it spells W-E. We K-I-C, kick the B-E-A-T. On the S-T-R-E-E-T. No one got rhymes like T-H-E-S-E. These rhymes you can R-E-A-D. Read, see how it sounds, my fundamentals are spelling. And K-S-O-L-O, spellbound. I'm spellbound. I'm not a G-A-M-E, this ain't the S-A-M-E-R-A-P-P-E-R, whose style is O-L-D. I'm N-E-W for Y-O-U and the C-R-E-W, paralyzing vowels, A-E-I-O-U, nothing you're frontin', and rappers are almost Q. U-I-C-K to T-A-L-K, some are real quick to W-A-L-K. You can S-A-Y, say what your M-A-Y, when I spell it right, I rhyme, I won't P-L-A-Y. Play around when it's time to get down, read it slow, when K-S-O-L-O is spellbound. I'm spellbound. Oh yeah, I must drop this line for MCs who try to spell or put spelling in the rhyme, they can't get it. I'm the BEST best, Spellbound got 100. Why you fail the TEST test? Next time try things I did spell. Verbs and nouns, action, words and adjectives. Add it together and ask all how it sounds. And maybe a rapper out there could be spellbound. But for now I'm the SPLLKING. And in the song I SING. And thanks to EPMBIMOUTTAHERE.
When I S-P-E-L-L, W-E-L-L.
Like this.
I'm spellbound.
S-P-E-L-L, W-E-L-L.
Like this.
I'm spellbound.
S-P-E-L-L, W-E-L-L.
Like this.
I'm spellbound.
S-P-E-L-L, W-E-L-L. S to the O-L-O.
Spellbound. 1990 KSolo, Fugitive with
S
PMG.
to the O-L-O.
Biggie Small.
S to the O-L-O. S to the O-L-O.
Welcome back to What's Happening Wednesdays on Whatever You Want Music Radio. That was Spellbound by the one and only, the original rap criminal, KSolo. Redman used to be a DJ. Like, you and Reggie Noble. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I love Reggie. Reggie was one of those guys that I used to say to myself, is this guy listening? Because he was younger than me by 3 years, and I would be like pointing everything out. And when I see his life and we have a conversation now, I see he was paying attention. Yeah, he was listening. Yeah. He'll tell me that to this day. I was listening. I'll be like, I used to even think you were. But evidently you really was, because everything I taught you, you took it to the next level.
Okay.
And I'm happy that I was able to do that for him, because you got to remember when the Hit Squad, before it broke up, Eric's house got shot up and Redman got kicked out of the house.
Wow.
They was there. I would imagine, the album wasn't out. He didn't do the record yet. And they were like, maybe he brought the drama to the house, and the house got shot up. And I just remember picking him up, and I'm like, yo, we got to get you a spot of your own. So I was happy that God put somebody in his life that, had his best interest, because you never know. He didn't get the check yet. And, you never know what could have happened when you left the house and got, for no reason he got put out because they didn't know who did it. And then we trying to figure it out, like, okay, here, take my apartment and I'll just wait next week and I'll get and it worked.
It's interesting to hear the dynamics behind the scene, man. It lets people know, the struggles they're going through is not too far different from the struggles y'all went through. You know what I mean? So check this out, KSolo. Right now, I need you to introduce that next joint. Let us know what we're about to listen to next.
KSolo, The Fugitive.
That's my joint. You're listening to The Fugitive right here on Whatever You Want Music Radio. What's Happening Wednesdays? Let's go.
Here you go. I was a fugitive. I ran like a rebel in 85. Cops tried to catch me, cause all of them said I beat up these other men who were bigger than me. Was it cause I'm black and they were W-H-I-T-E? Here I was walking down a block. I seen these two big bikers standing by the biker shop. They seen it was me, so to make yourself feel bigger, one got bad, bold, pointed and called me a I stuck my finger up, I said his mother and kept stepping. His friend told his other friend, hey Corky, let's get him. I looked to my back, to my surprise, one had a chain in his hand and the devil in his eye. I said I'm in trouble, let me think real quick. I looked down on the ground and got this big fat brick. With no time to waste, I put the brick on my hand and hit the bike until the chain fell out of his hand. Then his friend tried, he said, Corky, are you alright? But what he didn't know was he was in for a fight. The right hit his jaw, he fell on the floor. The kid I hit with the brick before said don't hit him anymore. I put my brick down, left him on the ground. Everything was cool till the cops came around. They said you're under arrest for assault 2 and 3. I laughed at the cop, I said explain this to me. He said you hit the man with the brick, or punched another in the jaw and left the scene like nothing happened. And they called the law. I laughed in his face, I said this don't make sense. It was 2 against my black, this makes us self-defense. He tried to grab me, so I pushed him on the floor and ran my black home and locked the living room door. I did what any black kid would have did, but to the cops of Suffolk County, I'm known as a fugitive. As a fugitive, the cops of Suffolk County, I'm known as a fugitive.
KSolo.
I had to go to school. I couldn't be late if I missed another day. Miss Kant said I wouldn't graduate. I didn't go a lot. That didn't mean I didn't care. I had to come to school more often to try again next year. I went to school and I tried, you know, to hide from the cops to June of '85. I get my diploma and things will be straight. By that my graduation, cops came and tried to put me on the gate. I ran though with a diploma that I owned. But cops chasing me all the way till I got home. I got away again. Why? You know what I did? I ran my black home into them. I'm still a fugitive. 2 years went by, me running from the cops. My mom looked at my dad said, son, this has gotta stop. Dad gave my money, she said, son, this is for ya. I went to Garden City to go get me a lawyer. I went to jail, Monday I was in jail. Till Friday, when you're black and you're in trouble, man, does your lawyer get paid? Then my mom's told the judge, my son's a good child. Then he laughed at my mother and said they'd take us to trial. I told my mom and dad I felt within, if we took Suffolk County to court of trial, I know I wouldn't win. So without a doubt, like any black kid in Suffolk County, KSolo had to cop out to 16 months in Riverhead. Instead of fighting and wilding, I wrote my records instead. Commissary was boys, inmates, owe me COs would beat me up with shakedowns. But now those suckers know me and I laugh at the cops who arrest me for what I did. Cause I'm hooked and no longer am I a fugitive. I was a fugitive, cop from Suffolk County, I'm known as a fugitive.
Welcome back to What's Happening Wednesdays on Whatever You Want Music Radio. That was The Fugitive by KSolo. So K, let us know, man, like what else you working on or who else you working with right now?
We're working with No ID right now and Thug Infinite, so they're over here too. We're gonna do it. We're bringing it back, bro. That Marcus Garvey would be proud. Trust me when I tell you.
No doubt. And No ID, he's dope. Man, I appreciate you taking the time out, coming to hang out with us on What's Happening Wednesdays, Whatever You Want Music Radio, man.
Yo, thank you so much. I'm gonna, that's why we do it, man. We do it for people like you and myself because, can you imagine me rhyming like, crazy without coming on my mother, and I got to look at my mother? So I had to do Spellbound and Moms in My Business because that generation could take it and say, okay, you did good. And it meant something. I wasn't trying to impress people younger than me. I knew that I had to go home to those people that were putting food on the table for me. So I was not in the situation. Don't get me wrong. Fugitive was raw, but it told a real story. It really happened. But it wasn't like, I'm going to take a thong and do that. I wasn't that guy. I didn't want to say nothing ignorant. I don't want to put nothing in the atmosphere ignorant. We had enough of that.
Absolutely. That's the entire idea behind Whatever You Want Music Radio. We wanted to get, what we call that real hip hop, man. And oftentimes you listen to them top 40s, you don't hear the stuff you want to hear. So, this is the whole idea to create that platform to bring it back to what it was.
Yeah, Mello, yeah. But listen, this is not going to be, because Vega's already on the team. As soon as we get out the studio, the only reason that stopped us from playing it now is that the guy, I was like, this nothing's clean. I said, yo, go clean it up. So everybody cleaning it up, and then we're going to give it to you guys. So because these guys I'm like, okay, it's great, but, I got to be there with them, be like, no, you got to bleep that out. So we're doing a lot of cleaning up, and then we'll get it to you. It should be there this week. Believe it or not, our stronghold is Rochester, Syracuse, and Albany. I was in Monticello.
I'll tell you something, man. I'm looking forward to the album. I know you said you got Red and Method Man on there for the collab. Like, I can't wait to hear that joint right there.
Oh, we're going to come up. Yeah, like I said, man, that's going to be our home right there, man. Whatever You Want Radio, definitely going to be the home, bro.
Yeah, KSolo. once again, man, I appreciate you coming by, hanging out, chopping it up with us. I know that our listeners appreciate it as well.
Yo, I appreciate it, man. God bless you, man. Have a safe day.
Yes, sir. You as well.
All right, one.
You're listening to What's Happening Wednesdays on Whatever You Want Music Radio. This is Most. I'm out. Peace.